This is Harvey Weinstein, and for the past 20 years he has been directly involved in making movies. In 1978, he and his brother Robert set up a production company called Miramax after their parents Miriam and Max. They were involved in many low-budget productions over the years, with credits like The Crying Game and Smoke. But it all changed in 1994 when Miramax released Pulp Fiction, which cost only $8 million to make and returned over $200 million worldwide. Suddenly, Miramax was a force to be reckoned with. And in 1999, the Weinstein brothers reached the top as Harvey Weinstein accepted the Best Picture Academy Award for Shakespeare in Love. This is my father, Jeremy Weinstein, and for the past 20 years, he has not been directly involved in making movies. In 1985, he and Bill Hunter set up a production company called Hunter Valley Films and never made a single picture. He has, over the years, talked his way onto a number of productions, with credits including an extra on The De Niro Boys and an extra on the Street Talk segment of The Late Show. But it all changed when he took his toupee off as an extra on Midday with Kerry Ann. Suddenly, he was not a force to be reckoned with, and in 1999, Jeremy Weinstein hadn't reached the top, despite appearing as an extra on the highest-rating episode of Ally McBeal. Being frustrated filmmakers, my father and I followed the careers of the Weinstein brothers very closely, always wondering if we were related. It was always a dream to meet Hollywood's biggest independent filmmakers, so I decided to blow all my bar mitzvah money on a trip to the Cannes Film Festival to try and meet the movie mogul that I share so much with. So armed with just a camera, a sound recordist, gaffer, boom mic, clapper loader and continuity person, I began my hunt. Cannes, unlike other film festivals, isn't open to the general public. It's solely an industry thing. In fact, it's not called a film festival. Apparently, it's called the Cannes Market. Whilst there is a competition component, Cannes is primarily the place for buying and selling films, which means if you're not registered as an industry member, you're just a tourist. Fortunately, I knew this before I left, and with my father's strong industry connections, I knew I'd be a major player. Once registered, I went to spot famous people at their majestic hangout. I'm trying to find my long-lost uncles, the Weinstein brothers. Here's a picture of them. Academy Award winner Harvey Weinstein. I found out that the Miramax International office was based in the Majestic Hotel. What a bonus! I spoke to the secretary and tried to find out where Bob and Harvey were, but she wasn't going to tell me anything. I told her my surname was Weinstein and that we were related, but even that didn't help. She couldn't tell me anything. They only arrived today, so she thinks he might be down in the lobby. They might be here till the end of the festival because they've got one in competition on the last day. So hopefully I'll just keep coming back and knocking on the door and hopefully I'll get a chance to meet them. I don't know. I really don't know what to say except that I've got a surname. Excuse me?
Oh, hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. We were sent here from around the office.
Mm-hmm.
They said that you're the ones that are scheduling Harvey's itinerary, like his meetings and so on, publicist.
Actually, that wouldn't be me. I can take a message for you.
Can you take a minute? Why isn't anybody here? Everybody's passing the buck. Does anyone schedule for Harvey Weinstein? Someone?
Yes,
yeah, but not you.
Not the main receptionist now.
Oh, okay.
What's your name?
My name is Jeremy Weinstein.
Jeremy Weinstein?
Yeah.
Are you guys related?
I think we might have a common great uncle.
Do you have any papers or accreditation?
Charmel Films from Australia. Surely you've heard of us.
What have you guys done?
Just a little independent film we did that just got released in Australia called Gladiator. With Aaron Russell Crowe.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of Gladiator? Yeah, I thought you might have. Yeah, that's a little film that we just whipped up. It's on the weekends, so there's no chance of saying how.
No, probably not.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time, and I'm sorry for disturbing.
No.
It's going to be really, really difficult for us to get an interview. It's going to be really very difficult for us to get to see him. It's absolutely jam-packed. He's done all his interviews. He's done everything he has to do. And I don't know, I guess my biggest chance is to bump into him on the street, which again is probably going to be next to near impossible because Harvey Weinstein doesn't walk around the streets of Cannes.
As I got downstairs and made my way out of the Majestic Hotel, a media frenzy erupted behind me. I thought it must be Harvey Weinstein, so I rushed over to join the Diana-killing paparazzi. But to my disappointment, it was only the extremely beautiful Andy McDowell. bummer. Despite my initial pessimism, coming that close to Andy made me realise that nothing was impossible. Now I was more determined than ever to find Harvey Weinstein. But I had to think laterally. That's it. I needed to hang out in places Harvey would be. So I went to the most exclusive place in all of Cannes, the private beach of the Majestic Hotel. Being an Aussie, I've been to lots of beaches, but none have ever had their own bouncers. I needed to think quick, or else they wouldn't let me in. I told them I was Harvey's son, and after a quick check of the hotel guest list, I was in. What a fluke. I looked around for Harvey, but he was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, I realised I was in the coolest place in Cannes, so I decided to stay a while. Word spreads quickly in this incestuous industry, and it wasn't long before people were queuing up to meet Harvey Weinstein's son.
How are you, Mr. Weinstein?
Very good, thank you.
I've always wanted to meet you. You're Harvey's son.
Yeah, that's pretty
Imagine
good.
how Harvey felt when he found out he had a son.
Yeah, that's right. That he didn't even know about. A love child in Australia. Who would have
Cannes
thought?
20 years ago. Anything's possible.
By now, I was running out of time and options. I was resigned to the fact that I'd probably not meet Harvey personally. However, I did want a shot of him, at least to show my dad. I heard that Miramax was premiering its film The Golden Bowl, so in a last-ditch effort, I grabbed a vantage point on a grassy knoll to see if he'd show up.
There she is, she's the star, Uma Thurman. That's Harvey Weinstein. He's standing in front of the girl with the red dress. I've got him right in the middle of the screen. That's about as close, I reckon, as we're going to get to Harvey Weinstein, Academy Award winner.
With my quest over, it was time to take all Cannes had to offer.
It's more fun than you're allowed to have with your clothes on.
It's the middle of the afternoon and I'm drunk.
Everyone in Cannes is on a free lunch, so there's always plenty to go around. I had befriended some Hollywood producers who wanted to show me that there was more to the south of France than just Cannes. So they took me out to lunch at a little spot they knew up the road.
Going to Hotel du Cap.
Hotel du Cap. So we're in the back of a yellow convertible here, driving down the streets of Cannes.
The Hotel du Cap is the most expensive hotel in the whole world. If you have to ask how much a room costs, you can't afford it. That makes the restaurant, the Eden Rock Cafe, the most expensive restaurant in the whole world. This was going to be some lunch. There are no cameras allowed in the Eden Rock Cafe, so we had to be very careful about how we obtained footage. Sometimes we just left the camera running on the table. At one point, I got tapped on my shoulder and was asked for a cigarette by none other than Ethan Hawke. And while I was lighting it for him, I thought to myself, I'm schnorring money off my old man to pay the bills, and a multi-million-dollar actor is bumming a cigarette off me? What's the world coming to? Suddenly, everyone went quiet. I looked over my shoulder. It was Harvey Weinstein. I couldn't believe my luck. I needed a few deep breaths to regain my composure and think about what I was going to say to him.
Dad, I feel like I'm coming home. He's over there. It's all come down to this, I'm telling you. This is why we're in Cannes. Harvey Weinstein, Jeremy Weinstein. It's all happening.
The whole experience was so overwhelming, I suddenly had visions of how I'd be represented in my son's doco in years to come. This is Jeremy Weinstein, and for the past 20 years he has been making feature films. In 1997, he and his best friend George Weinberg set up a production company called Great Wines Productions and made a number of short films. But it all changed in the year 2000 when he met Harvey Weinstein and signed a 3-picture deal with Miramax. Suddenly, he was a force to be reckoned with, and in 2005, he'd won the first of his 7 Academy Awards. By now, Harvey was at the buffet, so feeling as cocky as ever, I sauntered over to introduce myself. Things were going brilliantly, and we were just chatting like old buddies. We were talking about family trees and whether or not we were related and how we'd all avoided the war. And when I mentioned to him that I was a filmmaker, he said he'd be rooting for my career. He even laughed at one of my jokes. It was a dream come true. Then it all turned sour. The mood changed in a second. He gets annoyed he's being filmed. Then he turns, looks me square in the eyes and says, "Now I'm not rooting for your career." Prick.